Call the roll.
John Coleman,
Here.
Kim Crawford,
Here.
April Fabella, here. Ronnie Maines,
Here.
Jason Payne,
Here.
Jenna Smith. Here.
Okay, since we have a quorum, everybody's here, we will call a meeting to order of August 4th, 2025. Welcome, everybody, guests. Hopefully, everybody's signed in on their way in. And can we stand, and John, can you do the invocation and pledge of allegiance?
Yeah. Let's bow our heads. Dear and Father, Lord, we thank you for tonight, Lord. We thank you for everybody that was here tonight, Lord. We just praise you. Just be with us tonight as we conduct our city business. I pray, Lord, that you be with each one of us in our decision making, and everything we do here tonight is to honor you, Lord. And it's in your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay, a few announcements. Jamming in the Park, which is Grant County Park, is going to be on August 9th, 5 to 9. Williamstown Schools open up on the 13th. We have our next council meetings on the 19th. We have Music on Main at downtown Williamstown on the 22nd from 6 to 8:30. We have Paddle Williamstown on the 23rd. Anyone know what Paddle Williamstown is?
So basically, they close the lake to all motorized vehicles from 7 or 6 a.m. to maybe 1 or 2. And so like anything that you can paddle, then you can be on the lake. They do have, I think, did the police or fire department last year are usually there. Yeah, so it's just a nice little event. It's been going on for a long time. So
You can tell I'm new. Yeah.
well, you're not that new. It's been going on for a few years, but yeah.
All right, thank
The
you.
word is that you get on a raft and you paddle and lead the way.
Yeah,
You're
someone will,
right, and you're-
Mayor's always down there too.
someone will definitely push me off, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
40 days and nights at the Ark Gospel Music Fest. That's now till September 6th. And then we have Dry Ridge Party in the Park on the 30th from 3 to 11. So that's good. Back to school bash for the schools in Williamstown. That is this Friday, the 8th, 5 to 8 p.m. You can schedule pickup, meet the teachers, building tours, extracurricular information, community partners, and some of us, including myself, will be there for meet and greets. If anybody would like to stop by, that would be great. That's it for announcements. I do have a few updates. First of all, a while back, we talked about safety in the city, specifically Main Street, and we've now sat here a couple of times and we talked about crosswalks, and then that meant that we had to take away parking spaces. And the consensus was, I believe, at the last meeting, we can't afford to lose any parking spaces. So we have gotten signs also saying additional parking in back of the buildings. We've added a couple parking spaces, John, by your building to the right there. But we did put a safety mirror on Mill Street and Main Street. We were talking about making Mills a one-way street. I got a lot of feedback on that from the residents, and so before we made that decision, I thought we'd try that mirror to see how that works. I went by it this morning and used it. I thought it worked great. I don't know if anybody else has any.
I use it a lot.
Yeah, so I think, and I know we got a lot of positive feedback on social media, so we'll see how that goes. Derek, thank you for taking care of that. Much appreciated. I want a couple follow-ups from our last meeting at the marina. I know we talked about signs at the marina regarding the lake rules. The signs, they're at the printer. to be made. They should be up hopefully this week sometime. There are signs there already talking about the rules, but these are gonna be big signs on buildings, so people understand safety at the lake. We wanna make sure everybody stays safe. The dock repairs, last meeting, I think I talked to everybody about the dock that started floating down the river. I believe those repairs, as of today, should be fixed and done, so that's a positive thing. The fuel lines, I know some of you got an email on the fuel lines. There was a miscommunication of some sort, but we have gotten back on track, Crystal, so we're hoping that starts this week with that company. Splash Park, last meeting I told you about the picnic tables that were in bad shape. There was termites, if you will. We talked about trash cans. The picnic tables have arrived, they're there. Trash cans have arrived, they are there. Termites are gone, and we do now have a regular program with maintenance as far as bugs are concerned. So that problem hopefully has gone away. I also talked to you about last meeting, ordinance 2024-10, that was last year, regarding the, regarding the capacity fees on the water department that we as a council at the time passed, but was never given to the Grant County News to be published. The past administration neglected to do that. We have done that, and that should be published in the newspaper on Thursday. And I signed off on it. Any questions on any of those updates? Comments? Okay, I have one more thing that I want to discuss and talk about. We are going to talk in a minute about the occupational payroll tax deduction. And I know some people at this council, and believe me, I respect everybody's opinion, and I understand everybody comes from what they feel is best for the town, and so I appreciate that. I just wanted to give a little talk to the residents and the council regarding how I feel about it and how I feel it affects the city. So just bear with me a little bit. To the council people, and the fellow residents of Williamstown. As mayor of Williamstown, I stand before you tonight to propose a policy that I believe can strengthen our economy and deliver real, measurable benefits to the people and businesses of our city. A reduction in the occupational payroll tax. As a councilman, I ran on the premise to support the taxpayers of Williamstown, and this is still my mission. This isn't just about numbers. It's about the people who live, work, and build their futures here, right in Williamstown. It's about helping our families. The median household income in our city is around $71,700. And for many of our families, especially those with young children or those working multiple jobs, every dollar matters. The occupational tax may seem small on paper, but it directly reduces the take-home pay of every working person in our city. Even a modest reduction, a 0.5 percentage point, would mean more income for groceries, gas, school supplies, or saving for emergency. In a time when so many families are working hard just to stay ahead, that kind of relief is not symbolic, it's meaningful. We also know that 1 in 10 Williamstown residents live below the poverty line. We can't fix everything overnight, but this is a step that directly helps those who need it most. It's about supporting local business. Our small businesses are the backbone of Williamstown. Reducing the payroll tax doesn't just help employees, it helps employers. It makes it more attractive to hire, retain, and reward the people who keep their doors open, and makes Williamstown more competitive with neighboring cities. Lowering this cost can be the difference between holding steady and growing. It sends a clear signal that Williamstown is a place that supports business, especially the homegrown ones that want the best employees working in our city. And when workers take home more, they spend more, often right here in town. That means more support for our shops, restaurants, and service providers. The benefits circulate throughout our community. So let me be clear. This proposal is not about cutting essential services or creating budget shortfalls. We, as a city, currently have enough money to do all the projects we have budgeted for this year. I am recommending a phased reduction, starting with 0.5%, with clear tracking of revenue impacts and local growth indicators. We will monitor business activity, tax revenue trends, job growth, and household income data, and we'll make adjustments if needed. But I believe the long-term return on this investment will far outweigh the short-term revenue shift. Reducing the occupational payroll tax is one of the most direct ways we can put money back into people's pockets, support our business community, and strengthen our local economy. It's pro-worker, it's pro-business, and it's pro-Williamstown. I respectfully urge the council to consider this proposal not just as a fiscal policy, but as a commitment to the people we serve. Thank you for your time and continued partnership. I really appreciate it. And that's what I have on that. Okay, and speaking of that, under old business, second reading of the ordinance 2025-11, amending the occupational license fee. Mr. Mormon?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is City of Williamstown, Kentucky, ordinance number 2025-11, an ordinance of the City of Williamstown, Grant County, Kentucky, amending ordinance 2023-07, Chapter 110 of the Code of Ordinances, whereby levying the occupational license fee on employees for the privilege of engaging in work activities within the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, and for health, safety, welfare, and convenience of the inhabitants, residents, and citizens of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky. Whereas the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, home rule city and governmental entity existing under charter, enacts the statute of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, so providing services municipal to its citizens, residents, and all persons within or coming within the limits of the said city, all of which require the use of city revenues from the city's general revenues and other dedicated funds. And whereas the City of Williamstown has determined that it requires additional revenues general by which to continue to provide municipal services to its citizens, residents, and those other persons within or coming within the corporate limits of the city. And therefore, under the authority of Section 181 of the Constitution of the Commonwealth, and KRS 92.280, Section 2, it intends hereby to raise additional revenues by the levy and imposition of an occupational license and licensing fee system on employees, with all revenue and monies generated thereby and therefrom being dedicated to the general fund of the City of Williamstown. Be it hereby ordained by the City of Williamstown as follows. This is a new Section 1. Ordinance number 2023-07 and Section 110 of the Williamstown Code of Ordinances are hereby amended as follows, with the words and numbers being added indicated by a single solid line beneath them, and the words and numbers being deleted indicated by a single broken line through them as required by KRS 83A.060, Section 3. So this is a new Section 2. Dedication of revenues. All monies and revenues generated by the occupational license fees levied and imposed by this ordinance shall in the same are hereby dedicated to the general fund of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, as shown upon the budgets of the city, so adopted and approved by the City of Williamstown. So adopted and approved by the City Council of the City of Williamstown. Previous Section 2 is replaced with this new Section 3. Administration. This ordinance shall be administered by the City of Williamstown, Kentucky through the principal office of its city clerk, treasurer, or other designated or specified city employees, personnel, agents, or designees.
The City of Williamstown, Kentucky is hereby authorized and empowered to engage or employ other persons or agencies as it deems necessary or administer and enforce the herein ordinance. Previous section 3 is struck. The new section 4 says effective date of ordinance. The requirement of an employee occupational license and the imposition of an occupation licensing fee upon employees established and fixed herein, and here's the new language, with the occupational license fee shall be effective January 1, 2026. Prior language is struck, which says shall be effective as soon as possible according to law. New section 5 replaces section 4, requirement of an employee occupational license. For the right and privilege to be, in the new languages, an employer, previous language employed is struck, or engage in any manner of work activities as an employer, the new languages, as an employer, whether self-employed or employing other persons within the limits of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, there is hereby and hereunder established that all such, and then it's clarifying that it's employers are doing this and striking the language and employed persons. And we go back to the language of the ordinance says, obtain from the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, an annual employee occupational license unless specifically exempt under this section. The employer that is not required to withhold, report, and pay the occupational license tax is the federal government, including the United States Postal Service. The payments required to be made shall be made quarterly for the periods ending March 31, June 30, September 30, and December 31 of each year. Employers who are not required to withhold, report, or pay the license fee must annually, during the month of January of each year, make a return to the occupational tax administrator in which is set forth the name and social security number of each employee of the employer during the preceding calendar year, giving the amount of salaries, wages, commissions, or other compensation earned during such preceding year by each such employee. This list shall include all current full-time employers, part-time employees, temporary employees, and terminated employees, whether the termination was voluntary or involuntary. Previous section 5 is struck. A new section 6 will read levy of employee occupational licensing fees. And here's the new language. For the right and privilege to be an employer or engage in any manner of work activities as an employer, whether self-employed or employing other persons within the limits of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, the employer, and then the previous language is struck, which says, for the privilege of being employed or engaged in any occupation, business, trade, profession, or other activity within the City of Williamstown as an employee, the employee, and we go back to the language of the existing ordinance, which says, shall pay an occupational licensing fee of, the new language is 1%, and the prior language is struck, which is 1 1/2%. This is 1% of all wages, salaries, commissions, or other compensation earned by such employee in the city for work done or services performed or rendered within the City of Williamstown. Previous section 6 is struck. New section 7 says, employer's duties and responsibilities. It shall be the duty and responsibility of an employer having employees subject to the herein occupational licensing and occupational licensing fee provisions to withhold the herein employee occupational licensing fee due hereunder from the employees' compensation had or derived from work activities within the City of Williamstown. On the forms and returns provided by the City of Williamstown, timely remit and pay unto the City of Williamstown all such occupational licensing fees due to the city for the employer's employees' work activities which with the City of Williamstown. Cooperate with and provide the City of Williamstown with additional data and information germane hereto as may be required by the city in order to administer the herein ordinance. Previous section 7 is struck, and new section 8 reads the same as it was before, making of return and payment of licensing fees. Each quarterly return shall be made by the employer and filed with the city of Williamstown no later than close of business the last day of the calendar month following the end of the reporting quarter. For purpose of meeting the deadline requirements of this section, postmarks are not acceptable as proof of compliance. All payments of employee or occupational licensing fees due under the employer's return shall be made and remitted by cash, credit card, business check, certified check, cashier's check, or money order made payable to the city of Williamstown. Previous section 8 is struck. The new section 9 reads confidentiality of records and information. This is the same ordinance as it was before, and that says all returns and records of an employer and employee, including the names and identities of employers' employees, shall remain confidential and not be subject to public inspection, review, or duplication, except the amount of monies paid for occupational licensing fees under a return is deemed to be a public record subject to public review and inspection under Kentucky's Open Records Act. Prior section 9 is struck. The new section 10 reads the same as it was before. Inspection and audit of employers and employee record. For cause, the city of Williamstown shall have the right to inspect and audit the records of an employer and employees to ensure compliance with this ordinance and ensure due and full payment of all employees' occupational licensing fees due hereunder to the city of Williamstown. To substantiate the employer's returns made for a calendar year or any part of a calendar year, the employer shall be required to file and attach a Form W-2 and W-3 to the return for the quarter ending in each December of each calendar year. Prior section 10 struck. A new section 11 says, mostly the same as it was before, penalty and interest for late fees. Section A, any and every employer who fails to file a return or pay employees tax on or before the due date prescribed herein shall be subject to a penalty in an amount equal to 5% of the tax due for each calendar month or fraction thereof. The total penalty levied pursuant to this subsection shall not exceed 25% of the tax due. However, the penalty shall not be less than $25, and in addition to penalties prescribed in this section, any business, entity, or employer shall pay as part of the tax an amount equal to 12% per annum simple interest on the tax shown due, but not previously paid from the time the tax was due until the tax is paid to the tax district. A fraction of a month is counted as an entire month. Further, every tax subject to the provisions herein and KRS 67.750 to 67.790, and all increases, interest, and penalties thereon shall become, from the time the tax is due and payable, a personal debt of the taxpayer of the tax district. Prior language of section B is struck, and that read, penalties, civil or criminal, and sanctions for other actions, violations, or non-compliance. Instead, the new section B, which replaces, the new section B will read, in addition to the penalties prescribed in this section, any business entity or employer who willfully fails to make a return, willfully makes a false return, or willfully fails to pay taxes owing or collected with the intent to evade payment of the tax or amount collected or any part thereof shall be, the new language says, subject to civil and or criminal sanctions and or liability. And then the prior language, guilty of a Class A misdemeanor, is struck. New section C says, same as it did before, in addition to the penalties prescribed in this section, any business who willfully fails to make a return, willfully makes a false return, or willfully fails to pay taxes owing or collected with the intent to evade payment of the tax or amount collected, or any part thereof shall be subject to the imposition of a stop work order, a revocation of their business license, and the disconnection of any and all city-provided utilities. The following sanctions contained in this subsection may be imposed upon violators beginning 10 days after the tax due and payable. New section D says any person who willfully aids or assists in or procures, counsels, or advises the preparation or presentation under or in connection with any matter arising under KRS 67.750 to 67.790 of a return, affidavit, claim, or other document which is fraudulent or is false as to any material matter, whether or not the falsity of fraud is with the knowledge or consent of the person authorized or required to present the return, affidavit, claim, or document shall be, and the new language says, subject to civil and/or criminal sanctions and/or liability. And the prior language is struck, which is guilty of a Class A misdemeanor. New section E says, a return for the purpose, bless you. Return for the purpose of this section shall mean and include any return, declaration, or form prescribed by the tax district and required to be filed with the tax district by the provisions of KRS 67.750 to 67.790, or by the rules of the tax district, the herein ordinance, or by written request for information to the business entity by the tax district. New language of section F reads, no present or former employee of any tax district shall intentionally and without authorization inspect or divulge any information acquired by him or her of the affairs of any person or information regarding the tax schedules, returns, or reports required to be filed with the tax district or other proper officer, or any information produced by a hearing or investigation insofar as the information may have to do with the affairs of the person's business. New language of this section reads, this prohibition does not make these records a matter of public record, nor does it preclude furnishing the records to the taxpayer or taxpayers properly, go on to read, authorized agent with information respecting his or her return. And the language that is to be struck of this section says, the prohibition does not, or any other infraction of the tax laws, or in any way made a matter of public record, nor does it preclude furnishing and a taxpayer or taxpayers properly, and it picks up with authorized agent with information respecting his or her return. Further, this prohibition does not preclude any employee of the tax district from testifying in any court or from introducing as evidence returns or reports filed with the tax district in an action for violation of tax district laws or in any action challenging a tax district's tax laws. Section A of section F says, any person who violates the above or the subsection by intentionally inspecting confidential taxpayer information without authorization shall be subject to civil and/or criminal sanctions and/or liability. Previous section 11 struck. A new section 12 says what it did before, definitions as used herein or as set forth in KRS 67.750 to 67.795 and used concerning matters of and germane to occupational licensing and occupational license taxes. Unless the context requires otherwise, the following words or terms shall have the following meaning. Business entity, each separate corporation, limited liability company, business development corporation, partnership, limited partnership, sole partnership, proprietorship, association, joint stock company, receivership, trust, professional service organization, or other legal entity through which business is conducted. Compensation means wages, salaries, commissions, or other form of remuneration paid or payable by an employer for services performed by an employee, which are required to be reported for federal income tax purposes and adjusted as follows. A, include any amounts contributed by an employee to any retirement, profit sharing, or deferred compensation plan, which are deferred for federal income tax purposes under a salary reduction agreement or similar agreement, including but not limited to salary reduction arrangement under section 401 sub A, 401K, 402E, 403A, 403B, 48, 414H, or 457 of the Internal Revenue Code, and B, include any amounts contributed by an employee to any welfare benefit, fringe benefit, or other benefit plan made by salary reduction or other payment method, which permits employees to elect to reduce federal taxable compensation under the Internal Revenue Code, including but not limited to sections 125 and 132 of the Internal Revenue Code. Employee means any person who renders services to another person or business entity for compensation or its equivalent under an express or implied contract, who is under the control of directions of the latter, including an office of a corporation and any other officer, employee, or elected official of the United States, a state political subdivision of a state, or any agency or instrumentality of any one or more of the above, and so including temporary, provisional, casual, or part-time, or outsourced employees, workers, or employment. A person classified as an independent contractor under the Internal Revenue Code shall not be considered as an employee. An employer means as defined by section 3401 of the Internal Revenue Code. Fiscal year is defined by section 7701 of the Internal Revenue Code. Gross receipts means all revenues or proceeds derived from the sale, lease, or rental of goods, services, or property by a business entity reduced by the following: A, sales and excise taxes paid, and B, returns and allowances. Internal Revenue Code means the Internal Revenue Code in effect on December 31, 2016, and any applicable amendments made thereafter. Person means every natural person, proprietorship, firm, organization, association, congregation, undertaking, venture, joint venture, company, corporation, administration, agency, government, body or unit, or any other entity. Whenever the term person is used in any clause prescribing or imposing sanction or penalty in the nature of a fine or confinement or imprisonment, the word as applied to any association or entity shall mean the partners or members thereof, and as applied to a corporation, the offices and directors thereof. Tax district means a home rule city, county, urban county, charter county, consolidated local government, school district, special taxing district, or any other statutorily created entity with the authority of levy gross receipts, net profits, or occupational license taxes. Taxable year means the calendar year or fiscal year ending during the calendar year upon the basis of which gross receipts are computed. Occupational license fees, occupational tax, and payroll tax means for purposes of this ordinance and related documents shall have one and the same meaning, may be used interchangeably, and are separate and distinct from business license. Previous section 12 is struck. The new section 13 says severability. Each section and every provision of each section of this ordinance are severable, and if any provision, section, paragraph, sentence, or part thereof, or the application thereof to any person, license, class, or group is held by a court of law to be unconstitutional or invalid for any reason, such holding shall not affect or impair the remainder of this ordinance, it being the legislative intent to ordain and enact each provision, section, paragraph, sentence, and part thereof separately and independently of the rest. The ordinance shall be effective as soon as permitted as a matter of law. Line for David A. Henson, Mayor, City of Williamstown, to sign, to be attested by Crystal Fryman, City Clerk, Treasurer.
You want to read again?
No.
Go over that one more time.
Back on page 3.
Yeah. Okay, so we had the ordinance read to us. Basically, we're asking to reduce the occupational payroll tax of 1.5% to 1%. And that being said, I'll entertain any motions.
Before we make that motion, can we have a little discussion on it?
Well, I usually discuss
After,
yeah,
okay.
after the first and
All right,
second.
go ahead.
I would make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2025-11 that has been presented and read.
Motion made by Councilor Cropper. And is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Maines. Okay, discussion. Mr. Coleman.
So, I'm not gonna lie, man, I've thought about this for a while since it's been brought back up. And I'm a little confused on some things, and I'd like for that to be cleared up before then, before I vote. And here's some questions I have, and these are some stuff that I've heard, some people I've talked to. And a few months ago, I heard the town ask for an audit, a forensic audit. I don't know where we're at with that yet, if it's been completed. You know, people were worried about how bad the shape the city was in. I heard we can't even get a loan right now. And then all of a sudden, in a few months, things have changed to where we can now lower a payroll tax. In my head, I've pushed to get, there's people I wanted back in place, and I thought they were, and I've asked supervisors, I've asked the ladies in charge of our money, what do you guys think about this? It's not hurting us, you know, this is not good for our city right now, we need to leave it where it's at. And I don't know why we don't listen to those people. I think about our citizens, and I think, you know, if you're wanting to lower taxes to help the public, I'm all on board, you know what I mean? I'm on board. But it's not the payroll tax, it's the property tax. If the payroll tax, if we got people from out of town come in our town and work, they help pay our taxes. If we live in this town and we go somewhere else, we pay their payroll tax. So I think that's kind of fair. Well, if we really want to help our citizens, then why aren't we looking at the property taxes instead of the payroll tax? Because the property taxes, that helps everybody that lives here, not just the people that live here and work here. You know, I really want to help everybody out. But not too long ago, I'm just going to say it, I felt like with the old mayor, it was painted on a picture that this city was in bad shape. And just a few months from then, we can lower the taxes. We can't afford to lower these taxes, folks, right now. If you want the projects to get done and whatnot, I don't think we can afford to do that. And I trust when I ask Vivian Link, who's been looking at our numbers, I trust Crystal when we've been looking at our numbers and they tell me not to do it. When I talk to our supervisors and they say, hey, this is not hurting our, when I talk to employees, it's not hurting me, John. Listen, we want to get the stuff that we need, and we want to be able to fix our parks. We want to fix our infrastructures. We need the tools that we need. We lower this tax. We have a lawsuit that we have to pay for still. We still got zebra mussels. We haven't even got the forensic audit done yet. And we're looking at doing this? This is crazy, in my opinion. I would love to look at this every July. I would love to lower this. But I don't know how we can honestly do it right now.
All right, so can I answer some of these questions?
Yeah, feel free. I need an
So
answer.
I think your first question was, last we heard, for the previous administration, we didn't have any money. Cities and, okay, so let me refresh some of your memories. It wasn't necessarily we didn't have any money. It was the last mayor didn't know where the heck the money was.
Okay.
And the money coming in, the previous city clerk never put the money in the places that it was supposed to go. So we had all this money coming in into a bucket, and the line items were salaries and many other, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Crystal, was not put in. So instead of going and, like the first thing I did when I became mayor, I went and I asked for every account that we had, how much money was in it. So I knew how much money we had. Previous mayor had no idea how much money we had. Therefore, he told all the superintendents, do not spend any money because we have no money. He was dead wrong. We pulled over from last fiscal year to this fiscal year, $1.2 million over. Has that been done lately, Councilman Crupper?
No, sir.
No, that's because he didn't know what he had. He had, and of that 1.2 million was $600,000 in an occupational payroll tax line item that he didn't even know. Okay, so that all being said, that's where the money is. We have the money. Also, if you remember in this year's budget, we put in $393,000 to pay off a fire truck. that was ordered several years ago that the previous councils and mayors were supposed to put away $125,000 a year. So when it came to this year, we would just be able to finish it up with $100,000 and pay off the truck. It never got done. We had the money to pay off the truck, $393,000. We bought 2 cruisers this year. We're not gonna buy 2 cruisers next year. We bought 2 this year to catch up, to help the chief able to staff his team. They were $70,000 a piece. So let's say we still buy 1 next year, so that's $393 and $70. We bought for the fire department alone, a CPR machine. You only buy them once. That was $25,000. We budgeted new bay doors for the fire department. That was $20,000. Bay lights, LED lights. One time you're gonna buy them for the next 20 years. $12,000. Jaws of Life, $10,000. I can go on. Digger truck for the electric department, $270,000. How often are you gonna buy that? We budgeted that. Grant match, we had to put in $325,000 in order for the electric department to get their $1 million grant. We're not gonna do that again next year. Wastewater, dump truck, $150,000, they last 20 years. Cable department, cable bucket truck, $200,000. These are all things we budgeted this year, not affecting any of that 0.5%, which is $185,000. So you do the math. Tennis court, we budgeted.
I've done the math.
Yeah, and we have more than enough money here, John. Tennis court, $40,000. Sidewalks, $25,000. Web shelter restroom, $25,000. Fence for Web Park, $15,000. Repairs and maintenance, $110,000. I mean, there's plenty of money here, okay, to do this. And the fact that we have an opportunity to give back to the city of residents of this town some money back in their pockets.
A few, just the ones that are working here. The ones that work here or live here and work somewhere else, they're paying it somewhere.
I'm responsible for the city of Williamstown. I am not responsible for residents who work in other counties. I got the town employees, I've got the Williamstown school. Those are the people, and the people who work in this city, those are the ones I'm responsible for. And I'm saying, you know what, maybe $500 to $600. It's Christmas time. I'm sure they could all use that money. Now, what's your next question?
If the payroll tax is for people that work, is to work, right? Then why don't we look at the property tax? Why don't we look at that?
Right now, you're dividing, you're taking one focus and shifting it to another.
No,
I'm all for looking at the real estate tax. That's
Okay.
another argument.
Well-
Right now, we're talking about the occupational payroll tax, and that is what I'm proposing.
So we spent $1.2 million this year on capital? Is that what your math was from where right there, $1.2 million?
That's, well,
Yeah.
you can add it up.
Yeah, that's pretty certain, that's pretty close to where we was at. We're gonna have, I know we're not gonna need all those things again next year, but you're gonna continue to need things. And I just don't know, like I said, I'm still trying to figure out how we go from so bad to so good.
Because the previous administration had no idea what the hell they were doing. That's the bottom line there.
He managed to be able to keep back $1.2 million somewhere. We might not know where it was, but it's somewhere in there. It was there. I'm asking this, okay? How do we have people in place and then we ask them, what would you do? And they say, well, don't do this, and then we just do it anyways? Is that right?
Because they don't know, I just gave you the full picture. Maybe they didn't know the full picture. Am I wrong in anything I said, Crystal?
Know your numbers.
Crystal, I don't want to put you on the spot. Is this the best thing for our city?
The only thing
Yeah, I mean, you handle our
Speak for
money.
you.
Yes.
You handle our money.
My thought is, you've only had it 1.5 years. To me, 3 to 5 years is better to try to keep it and then look at it. That's kind of what me and Vivian talked to you about, yeah.
And I understand it, and I'm
Yeah,
not
we-
saying.
I told you,
You've told me
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and I'm not saying that's unreasonable. I'm not saying get rid of the whole 1.5. I'm saying get in a half, and then I'm willing to take a look at this every year and see where we're at. We have 1 in 10 residents in this city under the poverty line. You think they could use $400 or $500 extra in their pocket? I think they could.
Our thing was our general fund has never been in good shape like it is with, and we told you that as
Yeah.
well, yeah.
So we're in good shape, and then now we're gonna risk it.
Again, I don't, what you see is a risk,
I mean,
I
what-
see it giving back to the.
What do you foresee the zebra mussels costing us, Dave?
Right now, there's not any, we just
We
got
fixed
a
that?
report, the zebra mussels, knock on wood, are not there. And we are still on another, piece, applying for that grant, which we are maybe halfway through. But, Timmy just pulled, who just got through telling me that Randy's not here? Pulled tanks today, no zebra mussels. Derek, you were out in the lake today?
Last week.
Did you see any zebra mussels?
Timmy told me there was no zebra
Yeah,
mussels.
Timmy did.
Well, that's great news.
That is good news.
That's good news. I mean, like I said, for something that's only been in place for a year and a half, I would love to roll it over for one more year and look at it next July. I know we've been able to spend a lot of money this year because we had that in place, and I'm afraid by taking some of it away, it's gonna cut us back next year.
You're talking $185,000, John. And the fire truck alone's $393.
Yeah. It's $185,000.
And I'm saying it's $500 in back in someone's pocket.
2 cups of coffee a week.
You know what? Some people need
Well,
that.
I agree. I'm,
Being somebody that's on the fence on this, I've seen I see the impact to my family members and friends that work here locally that would like to have a little bit of a, cut back on the taxes, which I see as a good thing. And I also see roads that need to be repaired and different things, and I worry about that. And I have to trust that if the number's there in the budget to handle these things and to, continue to do maintenance and different things, and then that's what I kind of look at. But also, anybody here in the audience, is there anybody that would want to speak on behalf of this? I mean, it's up to you, Mayor, if is there anybody here that, one way or the other? Excuse me? It's not open forum?
No, it's at the end there on an open forum.
that'll be after the vote.
Oh, okay, I just wanna hear if there's anybody, I mean, I haven't heard, nobody's called me and said, hey, this affects me. I just know personally that from family members, but no one's personally said, hey, Jason, would you vote this way or that way in consideration of this? No one's reached out to me. I haven't heard either way. So that's why I'm still, if there's anybody that would sway me either way, that's in the community that has an opinion either way, you said we can ask after we vote? That doesn't really help.
No,
I can answer your question, Jason. I'm an employer in this city, and I'd have to take payroll taxes out of my employees. And they have several counties they work in. Keep in mind, in Williamstown, in Grant County, we have the highest payroll tax all the way around us here in several counties and cities. We have the highest.
Sure.
That's something I'm not real proud of. The biggest complaint I heard, I'm sorry, thank you, in the state. So the surrounding is a little bigger than I anticipated. I was incorporating 6 counties that I work in. My point is, the school system, Grant County or Williamstown, I don't know how hard it is to keep your people there. They probably change jobs as fast as they do in any other place. If Williamstown and Grant County wants to be competitive, the first place you gotta start is lowering payroll tax. Now, Mayor Henson told us last month, I talked to Chuck Dills, the county is at least corroborating, they want to roll theirs back 0.5%. This is a collective, respectable way to do it. At least we are on board.
And
When we-
they're going to do that, right?
Yes, sir. When we adopted a payroll tax, believe me, as an employer, I caught a lot of hell over it from a lot of people. Some
Well,
city
Leaving your
employees.
opinion out of it, I wanna hear from the audience, if there's
All right,
anybody.
you need an opinion.
Yeah.
I'll finish, and hey, if anybody else wants to talk, you got my blessing.
Okay.
The point of my story is that when we adopted this 2 years ago, we, including me, said we would review this and look at it in 2 years. 2 years is here. Now, it may be a year and a half, this don't go into effect till January 1. I've kept my word. If we lower it, at least I can face anybody out here as an employee in this city that we've reviewed it, and I feel like it needs to be.
Well, that's good, that's a
But-
good
but-
consideration as well, I didn't know that, I mean, I do agree with that, I think we did talk about looking at it and reviewing it, and if this is that point, I didn't know that if we were at that point or not yet. Like with John's point, are we doing this too early, or are we doing it at the review point that we said that we would?
Well, keep in mind this, in respect of what John has said here, there's a lot of stuff here in capital improvements the mayor has just addressed. Next year, we probably won't be doing near as many capital improvements. Will there be other things? Yes, sir, there will be. But
Right.
you still got 1% payroll tax coming in here. Crystal, can you tell me, in a 1%, what does that in a number generate? Is that something you can have there on the surface or not?
As far as overall, the overall,
Yeah,
what he
the
said,
overall
I gave,
big
yeah, I gave it to him, it was like
It's- it's-
188.
Well, half a percent is 185.
Okay.
So,
Well, the numbers that
Well, I
was
knew that
given,
part of 0.5%, it's right here.
187,
I'm talking about
$980.20.
Yeah, so 185 times 2 is.
All right.
It's 187, 980.20.
I hope I've answered your question, Jess.
no, you can, I mean,
Okay, so,
I think everybody's got their, you know,
yeah.
I just want us to be, the city needs to be more competitive in bringing in businesses so that the employees can look at it and at least we're making a good effort to attract other businesses.
I agree, and I agree with the mayor, he said that they're gonna be looking at the metrics and reviewing it, that's what needs to be done. Like how much, what has the 0.5% done to bring us more business? And I think we look at that, you can't keep going back and forth and increasing this 2 years later, and, because we didn't make enough, but I think it is important to look at the numbers and say, hey, how many new businesses did we attract this year, is it because of the lower payroll tax? No, because we're lowering it.
Oh,
That, I mean.
Well, time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will tell, and then, look, we may decide we could go another half point next year.
And, you know, something I heard the county's gonna lower theirs. Am I wrong to say the county's lowered, raised, lowered, raised? I don't wanna do that. You know what I mean? Have they not had it in, then lowered it, and then raised it back, and then lowered it again?
Well, they raised it last year 1%. That's a
So,
lot of
I
damage.
don't wanna go up and down. And that's the reason I wanna keep it where it's at right now until we can make sure we're good before we adjust it again.
All right.
That's my concern, is I don't wanna go up and down like the county has. I feel like they've gone up and down, and
I understand.
I don't wanna
Is there
do
any
that.
other council person on the table who would like to add something?
Well, a lot of it is, like Kim was saying, businesses. That's one first thing that they say is business. And for instance, there's a guy that moved into Crittenden. His wife's a school teacher. She was checked on Williamstown and Grant County. She went to Boone County because of that, because of the payroll tax. And there's more money. But she'd like a small town school. Yeah. And I know that he needs teachers and Grant County needs teachers. And it just, you know, and I was on the other side, and that was 2 years ago, and I was against this. You know, maybe 1%, but not the
Yeah.
1.5%.
I would love to know what businesses were knocking on the door 2 years ago and not knocking on the door now.
That being, April, do you have anything to say?
Like I was just telling him, I mean, I before the numbers were read, I mean, I've been on the fence about it too, and thought about it. But Grant County is lowering theirs 0.5%. I also talked to Chuck before my surgery. And, I mean, if we do a 0.5%, they do a 0.5%, it's a whole percent that these people are gonna be saving. I mean, and it goes back to the schools and stuff, and I know that there's teachers that are moving up north because of the pay and the taxes is a lot of it. Like, they're going where they can afford, and I'd like to see that our schools and our businesses, you know, get back to where they were at. and we're not seeing help wanted and, 30, 40 applicants needed for the school systems, both of them. You can go on there any given day, and there's just pages and pages of teachers and assistants that they need because they don't have anybody.
Is there anybody from the audience who'd like to speak? Superintendent Sloan?
I don't mind. I can always talk. You want me to go?
Yes, please.
John Sloan, Superintendent of Williamstown Schools. As you know, if you were on the council last year, I opposed when the tax came out in the first place. We had just, a lot of it last year was, or the last time, it was communication. We budgeted in February, March, April, and then in May is when we push everything forward. Then, after we gave the increase that we were given, then all of a sudden we heard that there was gonna be a tax coming out, so it just took away everything that we were giving to our staff. And like you said, it is hard. I mean, I just lost a teacher 2 weeks ago that went to Boone County for $20,000 or more. I mean, I can't compete with that. We compete with Grant County, but then you get outside of that, you can't compete with Owen County and Scott County and Pendleton. So it's hard, it is hard. And you're talking about, in all due respect, talking about property taxes, well, then you're hurting us again. So schools are made up, our funding is from two sources, SEEK, which is based on student attendance, and then enrollment, and then property taxes. And that's where you have your school tax as well. And so right now, we receive more funding from the state SEEK than we do on property taxes. And that eventually will get to about a 50-50 split. So if you cut property taxes, then you're hurting us on that end as well. Last time this happened, we were financially able to come back and give that additional amount so that it didn't hurt the staff, because that was what the right thing to do was, because we were able to do it. Now, did it hurt something? Yeah. I mean, to do that, we had to cut program, we had to cut funding from this and funding from that. But I loved what you did at the beginning. You gave numbers. Last time we didn't get numbers. Last time we got well, we might buy this, or we might buy this. Well, you gave numbers. I like that. And what you have to do next, just like what I would have to do, is you have to put things on a cycle. You know, if you're replacing that truck, well, that truck needs replaced every so often, so you back that out and you budget it, okay? Everything has to be done like that, and that's what we're doing up there. We were able to put a silver on the blacktop because we had contingency funding from a project that we're doing right now. We're getting ready to put in a new gym floor because we had money in the contingency because we were budget smart. You're always working on the budget, always working on the budget. You have to find ways to cut, you have to find ways to project out. If you're not projecting out, then a $300 truck is gonna kill you.
300,000.
300,000, well, yeah, 300,000, that's what I was talking about.
393,000.
Yeah, ours is hundreds of thousands. And
Make it last, Todd, make it last.
And then another thing with us as well, with, property taxes, we also, that allows us to build up our bonding capacity. So that's how we purchase and build, is through bonding. So percentage of attendance, the number of kids we have, property taxes allows us to grow bonding every year. We bond about not even $1 million every year. So you can imagine how long it's gonna take to do a project. So if we're gonna add on, that's gonna cost $5 million. So it takes 5 years to even do that. So you have to start preparing for these things a long way around. And I do like and appreciate what you've done there with the money. So, of course, I'm gonna say I do support the lower end of that as well. So it's not a short answer, and it's not a short-term plan. It's a long-term plan that you have to start putting in place now and keep it going. You can't just do it overnight, and you can't just do one thing and wait for something to happen. Because if you wait for it to happen, it's gonna happen at the worst time. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there anyone else from the audience who'd like to speak? Anyone else on the council would like to say anything addition to what they've said already? That being said, roll call, please.
John Coleman,
No.
Kim Crupper,
Yes.
April Fabella,
Yes.
Ronnie Maines,
Yes.
Jason Payne,
Yes.
Jenna Smith.
Yes.
That being said, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the correction and approval of minutes for regular council meeting July 15th. Assuming everybody has read them already, but if not, take a few minutes to go over them again, and I'll entertain a motion at any time.
Make a motion, we adopt the minutes of the July 15th regular council meeting as been presented tonight.
Motion made by Councilor Crawford to adopt the minutes as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilor Maines. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
John Coleman,
Yes.
Kim Crupper,
Yes.
April Fabella,
Yes.
Ronnie Maines,
Yes.
Jason Payne,
Yes.
Jenna Smith.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Update from the Marigold Day Committee. Mr. Payne.
Well, Marigold Day will be here in 47 days. Mark your calendars. Everything's going really good for the planning. We just had a meeting today. Just a couple updates. We have confirmed the Kentucky Cloggers will be there. They're going to do a 45-minute show right before Mardi Brown. And then we would have, we are going to have a parade, as you know. We're working on getting the car show entries to, actually, we just got approval from the Williamstown Baptist Church to have the car show there. Car show participants will be in that parade, and then the parade floats will start right here on site at the city building. So if you're still interested in doing a parade float, we have lots of availability in that. We do want everybody to decorate with at least one marigold or more. If you want to go big, we'd love to see a lot of marigolds on your parade floats. There's no charge at this time for a parade float, so if you want to sign up, please visit our website marigoldday.org, and you can register your parade float. Same thing with vendors. Our last day for the early bird was August 1st for the early bird. Now the rates went up about $10 each for a booth space, so that's we're going to stop taking vendors on August 15th. So if you're still interested in being a part of the vendors, the food trucks, and all that stuff, you have till August 15th. The only other thing I have is I guess there was, the parade. I went downtown and I talked to everybody downtown, and all the businesses are excited about it. They all have a poster up in their windows. If you want a poster for your business, please reach out to us. We'll get you a poster. Please like and share our Facebook site and everything, and continue to spread the word about the event. Remember, it's Saturday, September 20th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you are participating in the parade or anything like that, you will have to get here early if you're a vendor. Vendor setup starts at 7:30 a.m. Parade folks have to be here by 8. If you guys have a marching band from Williamstown School, please let them know. We'd love to have a marching band. We'd love to have all the students here at the event. And one final thing, we are looking for additional volunteers. If you're interested in volunteering, please reach out to us. We could use a few more in our volunteers. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Any questions for Jason? Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
John, any update on Web Park?
It's not much updates. Me and Derek talked earlier, what was it, last week, Derek? We was gonna try to meet with Miss Laura this week to get everything down on paper so we can submit the bid so we can send out, we can get submitted bids. Both buildings are being looking at taking the fence, we get it recycled maybe, just get rid of it, and that's about where we're at. Hopefully we'll meet with Miss Laura sometime. She's back this week, correct? And be able to sit down with her and then get it out to bid and see. I mean, that's about where we're at with it right now, so.
Sounds good. I know we got, the buildings are down, right?
Yeah, the buildings are
I
down.
got the, bank cut back. I've taken all that dirt, filled in where the buildings were, where the trailer pad was. All that filled in, it's pretty smooth, to track it in some more like the rain hit, but the rain kinda hurt me a little bit there where I was just too slick getting on that hill, trying to cut it back. But yeah, we've done about half of it, and it'll be moving on to kinda getting that cut back some more, tearing the fence down.
Trees coming down.
Yeah,
And then
we gotta tear the
poles, right?
sidewalk out,
Yep.
so,
Mhm.
yeah.
Good.
We got one pole down.
One pole.
Goes down, so be two more.
John, do y'all think we need surfacing done this year?
I don't foresee the surfacing, after talking with BB here, I'm guessing if it would be, it'd be late, and then we would do all the painting and stuff, come spring, but you're probably looking at come spring is when we talked about. We did talk about, it was something that I was gonna bring up.
Yeah, it takes, I believe it's 30 days.
Yeah, and
Before you can top it.
temperatures have to be right and stuff like that, so we would be
Top it,
pushing that.
words, striping, all that stuff, so you gotta let it set.
There-
Blacktop has to oxidize a little bit for about 30 days before you coat it.
We did have the conversation, and I wanted to ask you all this, your opinion on this one too. We talked about the possibility of closing the park till next spring. I mentioned it to Derek, just because of the construction going on and construction coming in. You don't really have a tennis court right now. You don't, the basketball courts are in pretty bad shape. Really, the only thing you would be losing is the playground area. But what makes me nervous is kids down there, and he's got slopes coming in, you got poles coming down, trees are falling. Do we close it until spring, and hopefully that gives these guys an opportunity to do what they need to do, and then without having to worry about caution tape and, oh, is someone gonna be up here messing with this, or you can leave equipment, you know, is it safer to just close the park until spring? I think, as much as I hate to say it, cause I love the park, I think it would be best interest that, and I think the guys could get more work done if we could just close the park until spring. Hopefully, come spring, we would have the tennis courts kinda done and some of the construction done. Obviously, we're gonna have to come up with money for the ball courts and stuff like that to finish the phase, but in the best interest, I think it would be best to close the park right now until spring. Until,
So I've
that's up
talked,
to
I
you
think,
all.
yeah, I've talked to you, I've talked to Derek. My feeling is, I'm not opposed to closing the park if and when that time arrives, because of safety. I think when that time comes, we'll address it. But let's wait. John, excuse me, Derek.
We have been, Chris and I, we've been locking and unlocking the gate, so.
At
just so
night.
everybody knows.
Yeah.
We're
So-
locking it in.
So when we come across that bridge, I mean, we'll address it, but I don't think we need to address it now, or,
I know he's gonna tear out, eventually he'll be tearing out sidewalks and stuff like that. And then I just worry about, like I said, that's, and if we can look at that later, then we look at it a little later. But I think sooner or later, we probably will have to close it for,
we probably will.
have to,
I don't,
shut it down for a little while.
School starts, it'll slow down.
yes. Thank you, John. That's all I have on the old business. Under new business, reading of municipal order 2025-05, surplus property. I guess you have to read that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is municipal order number 2025-05, a municipal order of the city of Williamstown declaring listed property owned by the city to be surplus, inoperable, or obsolete, and available for sale, trade, or disposal. Section 1, the following list of property owned by the city of Williamstown, Kentucky is no longer necessary for the proper upkeep, finances, and maintenance of the city, and is hereby declared to be surplus property. Number 1, 2006 Kenworth T300 dump truck, diesel, 6-cylinder engine, rear-wheel drive, blue in color, VIN, which you can obtain later. Mileage is 330,059 miles. It needs a new engine. 2, one Wheeling siren box, serial number laid forth. Number 3, 2 Carson SC 409 siren boxes. Serial numbers are provided herein. Number 4, 3 Kenwood P25 radios with serial numbers provided. Number 5, 3 Radio Shack Pro 2096 scanners with serial numbers. Number 6, 2 Kenwood TK5220 radios with serial numbers. Number 7, 1 US Radar Inc. with serial number. Number 8, 1 Phoenix Inc. light bar with a serial number. Number 9, another Phoenix Industries light bar with its own serial number. Number 10, 2 Welland windshield lights. Number 11, 1 Phoenix windshield light with serial number. Number 12, 2 Star Signal side lights. 13, 2 Kenwood external speakers. 14, 1 Phoenix Industries dash lights with serial number. Number 15, 2 stop sticks. Number 16, 2 Havas computer mounts. Number 17, 1 Havas printer mount. Number 18, 1 rocker panel light bar with a serial number. Number 19, 1 Star Phantom light bar with serial number. Number 20, 1 Targetron Inc. radar serial number. Number 21, 1 Samlex 46 amp power supply with serial number. Number 22, 4 gas masks. 23, 1 Sony Handycam with serial number. Number 24, 1 Dell XFR laptop with serial number. Number 25, 1 HP laptop. Number 26, 3 Dell Latitude serial numbers provided. Number 27, 1 Seagate hard drive with serial number provided. The disposition of such surplus property will be done in a manner consistent with Kentucky statute. Section 2, the invalidity of any provision of this municipal order shall not affect the validity of any other provision. This is read, moved, and approved by the City Council of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, this 4th day of August, 2025, with a line for the mayors to sign and Ms. Fryman to attest.
Before we get to a motion, is there any questions on the specifics of the items? Hearing.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I do, and this may be directed more towards the chief, these stop sticks, are they indeed something that is placed to stop flow of traffic? Are these your department's stop sticks?
There are department stop sticks that came out of the 3 surplus cruisers.
Then I think we should hold off on disposing of those or putting them out in public. Until we talk.
I'm not putting any of that out in public.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are gonna be just,
It'll be disposed of.
okay, very good. Thank you.
Hearing none, is there a motion to accept this municipal order?
I make that motion, Mayor.
Mayor, motion made by Councilor Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Crumpler. Is there any discussion on this? Roll call.
John Coleman,
Yes.
Kim Crumpler.
Yes.
April Fabella,
Yes.
Ronnie Maines,
Yes.
Jason Payne,
Yes.
Jenna Smith.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay. We have a first reading of ordinance 2025-13, zone change of 38.43 acres from agricultural 1A1 to planned unit development or PUD for property located at 143 South Main Street, Dry Ridge, The property is located within the city limits of Williamstown and Dry Ridge. All 38.43 acres within this zone change are located in the city limits of Williamstown. So you all have a inch-thick packet, which I'm sure you all went through. This is located north Main Street, am I correct? Yeah. And we are being asked to pass this ordinance. As you remember, it came informally to the council on March 3rd. And we, at that point, heard about it and gave a affirmative, knowing that at that point they had to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which they did. Planning and Zoning passed it. They made a couple changes on it. One was no urban warehouses. One was, I think, entrance on the road. It might have been one of the two, but I think those were the two biggies. Mr. Murphy, would you want to address the council? Please state name and,
Logan Murphy, Dixon Man, I'm representing Mrs. Ham on the zone change. You've got an affirmative recommendation from the Planning Commission. There's 5 conditions. The only one that gives us any heartburn is the entrance. The Planning Commission wanted the southern entrance developed first. I really don't think that's an issue, because once we take the state out there, we're gonna say no. We want the northern developed first. The northern entrance is the safest. It's got the most sight lines. So southern end, I think the state will take care of that condition. But you know, if you wanna take it off, that'd be fine.
well, we're just first reading tonight, so.
Okay.
I
Any
got one.
questions other than that?
Yes, I have one question. We're having a first reading. If we need to make any corrections or additions tonight to this ordinance to clarify or identify in the ordinance, should those be noted tonight and done, so you have it all prepared in writing for the second reading?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if there is any issues that this council needs to put together to make this ordinance work, then we address it.
Like I said, they put 5 conditions on. The only one that gives me any heartburn is the one about the southern entrance being first. And, like I said, I think once the state looks at it, they're gonna say no. You're gonna have 2 entrances, you're gonna do the northern first. So,
I have a couple of things there,
what's that?
Logan, that, to try to address with the council on this. I was at 2 of the planning and zoning meetings about this, and listened to and reviewed and you presented everything that needed to be presented. And my thought is yes, the northern entrance to that is the safest
It is.
and the most practical way to get into this subdivision.
The only way the southern entrance even works is because it's in 35 posted zone. Okay?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't work. If it's 55 like the northern entrance, it would not work.
Well, the concern I had in that southern entrance, and I know you addressed it and it was talked about, once the subdivision developed out, that you had to have another entrance because of the excess of 100 houses, does that sound correct?
That's planning commission's requirement.
Okay.
It's not state requirement.
All right, and secondly, with that second entrance, if that comes to be, which I'm like you, I can't imagine the state wanting that entrance in that curve, and if you can find somebody doing less than 35 in that area, I'd like to have that
I always
noted.
go speed limit.
Okay, I'm buying into that.
Okay.
And so, and with that said, with the traffic flows down through there.
The northern entrance is the best, and it will be the safest. It's got the best sight distance. It's pretty much a straight section of road. It's pretty much level.
Yes,
Okay?
all right.
So,
The other item I would like to propose in this subdivision project, and it was successful when they did over here the subdivision on Arnie Rising.
Thoroughbred Run, yeah.
Thoroughbred Run.
Yeah.
When the city council back there years ago approved that subdivision, one of the restrictions was for the city that the developers or the developer of that subdivision was required to build a minimum of 3 houses a year. Once the project started, they were required to build 3 houses a year to keep the subdivision actively moving forward so it wouldn't become stagnant. So it looked like it was going to work. That was a requirement, and of course they understood they had to pay sewer and water impact fees with that. At first, they were a little hesitant, but after they got their development done and they started building some homes, they were selling them pretty much as fast as they were putting them up.
I think in the last 2 years, in 23 and 24, they sold a total of 28 homes.
Yes, but my point is, it was successfully done even though the city required them to build a minimum of 3 a year. After that, it was not even an issue anymore because they were successfully not only building 3, but they were building 6 and 8 and 10 a year. And so it kept it moving, and it's turned into a good, healthy, clean subdivision is what it's done.
And the thing with this one is, by the time we get the first phase of this one done, they'll be sold out before then.
And that's a good thing. So the timing of your subdivision proposal is good because this one's what, 95% done in Thoroughbred?
They only had, I figured it up, and this is as of August, they only had, at the rate they're going, about a year and a half.
Okay.
Supply of lots. However, I have heard that, some of the builders are getting into bidding war over remaining lots.
I see.
So, because they're getting short.
Well, Mayor, that was my two concerns. If the council understood and considered at least having that put in there. I know planning and zoning, their minutes.
Do you have a problem with that condition?
Okay.
I do it.
That, and then, like I said, I drove by it a number of times in the last couple of months, and from the safety standpoint, the northern end is the best end. That's just my thought.
We haven't read it yet, but does anybody else want to comment? Well, Logan's up there.
My only point was exactly what Kim mentioned is instead of seeing these developments with lots empty around here, it's nice to have some type of plan that you're gonna have 3 a year or whatever. I think that's a great idea to see progress.
I think it worked out really good with Thoroughbred Run.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see something like that as well, because it's Thoroughbred Run continues to build houses in there, and that's what we want to see is the houses going up and not just lots sitting there. So that's.
Well, and with that said, even in the very beginnings, those houses still look really nice compared even to the days houses that's going in down there. They're all really collectively looking good.
They're actually taking pretty good care of it.
Yes, they are.
And my church had, when pastors stay, they had it in there, and I've been in several times, and they took good care of it.
Ryan?
I got a question. I'm like y'all saying that northern, it's better there, but there's gonna be 2 entrance to it next.
That's required by the planning commission.
Because that one in that curve is bad.
Let me preface
Yeah.
that. Okay, the number of units here would not require two entrances by the state.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand
Okay,
that.
so we're gonna do what the state tells us. Okay, so there's no negotiation with that. They're gonna say, yeah, you can have 2 entrances, or no, you're gonna have 1 entrance as turn-ons. Okay, so whatever they tell us, that's what we're gonna do. And I made that point to the planning commission. I'm like, you can put all the conditions in the world on it, okay? But it's sometimes hard to make the planning commission understand there are authorities that are higher up than they are, so.
Yeah, because there's only 3 places, ain't there, where the trucks sit, the one,
Where the
The
old
house.
IGA parking lot?
Yeah.
The problem with that is, if you look at the grade of 25 there, okay, is that you've got that swag to the south, and pulling out there, that's a 55.
You can see better there than you can at the northern entrance.
No, ma'am, you can't. I've looked at it 3 or 4 times. Okay, it's got that swag, and if you pull out there and the way they measure, you have to have 600 feet.
Please address us.
Okay.
We're not addressing.
Yeah, you have to have 600 foot, 610 feet, both directions.
Yeah, I've been pulling in and out of there, and I see what you mean, but that's
It's got
the,
that swag. and
it's
if
got
you-
the best
you go-
entrance,
You understand
yeah.
how they measure? They measure from a height of 3 feet, 3.5 feet.
yeah.
That's your eye level. When you pull them out, it's 300, you gotta see an object 3.5 feet, 610 feet away. Okay, and you've got that hump there that's on the south side of that lot, and then it drops down into that swag, so. You see, you know, I've looked at it several times and watched them, and some of the smaller cars, I mean, if you got a transfer truck, yeah, you can see the top of it.
Yeah,
You know, a Dodge Dually or something like that, you can see the top of it. But if you've got somebody in a regular, just regular passenger car, it'll disappear outside.
Why don't we go ahead with the reading
Yeah.
of the ordinance?
Yes, sir. This is ordinance number 2025-13, an ordinance of the City of Williamstown in Grant County, Kentucky, amending the official zoning map of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, changing the zoning classification of a 38.43 acre parcel of land from the agricultural A1 to a zoning classification of planned unit development, PUD. The parcel is located at 143 South Main Street, Dry Ridge, Kentucky, at the northern border of the corporate limits of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, lies within the corporate limits of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, and owned by Andrew and Krista Ham. Whereas on the 16th day of July 2025, the Grant County Joint Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on the application of Andrew and Krista Ham, requesting a change in zoning classification and a map amendment from the City of Williamstown, in which includes one 38.43 acre parcel of land, description attached, with a current zoning classification of agricultural 1A1 to a zoning classification of planned unit development, PUD, in which the parcel is located at 143 South Main Street, Dry Ridge, Kentucky, and lies within the corporate limits of the City of Williamstown, Grant County, Kentucky, and whereas upon the foregoing application, the Grant County Joint Planning Commission did make written findings and conclusions in support of the requested zone change and zoning map amendment, together with findings and conclusions in support of the requested zone change and zoning map amendment, together with written recommendations addressed to and received by the City Council of the City of Williamstown, Grant County, Kentucky. That Andrew and Krista Ham's requested change in zoning classification and zoning map amendment be granted, approved and duly so ordained by the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, outlined in the findings and recommendations as the public hearing of the Grant County Joint Planning Commission, and whereas the City Council reviewed said application, including evidence, written findings, and conclusions of the Grant County Joint Planning Commission, findings being attached, together with recommendations addressed to and received by the City Council of the City of Williamstown, Grant County, Kentucky, and whereas the City Council of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, after review, concur in the findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the Commission concerning the change in zoning classification and map amendment by majority vote of the entire legislative body. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Williamstown, Grant County as follows. Section 1, as the legislative body of the City of Williamstown, the Williamstown City Council hereby adopts the findings of fact and conclusions of law after review of the evidence and record of Grant County Planning Commission and adopts its hearing as its own. A, that on July 16, 2025, the Grant County Joint Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on the application of Andrew and Krista Ham, requesting a change of zoning classification and map amendment from the City of Williamstown, in which includes one 38.43 acre parcel of land, description attached, with a current zoning classification of agricultural 1A1 to a zoning classification of planned unit development, PUD, in which the parcel is located at 143 South Main Street, Dry Ridge, Kentucky, and lies within the corporate limits of the city of Williamstown, Grant County, Kentucky. And B, upon the following application, the Grant County Joint Planning Commission did make written findings and conclusions in support of the requested zone change and zoning map amendment, together with findings and conclusions in support of the requested zone change and zoning map amendment, together with recommendations addressed to and received by the City Council of the City of Williamstown, Grant County, Kentucky, that Andrew and Krista Ham's requested change in zoning classification and zoning map amendment be granted and approved. And C, that the City Council of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, reviewing evidence provided thereto, so concur in the findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the Commission concerning the change in zoning classification and map amendment. Section 2, that the City of Williamstown zoning ordinance and map be amended to show a change in the zone classification from agricultural 1, A1 to planned unit development, PUD, for the real property described herein below, to wit. See attachments attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference pursuant to KRS 83.060 subsection 5. The zoning classification of the hereto and attached described parcel of land belonging to Andrew and Krista Ham and located at 143 South Main Street, Dry Ridge, Kentucky, and lies within the corporate limits of the City of Williamstown, Grant County, Kentucky, be so fixed and reclassified to the zoning classification of the City of Williamstown, and the mayor of the City of Williamstown, Kentucky, is hereby authorized and so ordered to make upon the official zoning map an endorsement to evidence the zoning classification and to make reference to the number of this ordinance on such change. Section 3, this zone classification is subject to terms and conditions established by the Grant County Joint Planning Commission in its approval of the subject application and recommending the zone classification to the City of Williamstown, Kentucky. Section 4, the provisions of this ordinance are severable, and the invalidity of any provision of this ordinance shall not affect the validity of any other provisions thereof, and such other provisions shall remain in full force and effect as long as they remain valid in the absence of those provisions determined to be invalid. Section 5, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with the provisions of this ordinance are hereby repealed to the extent such conflict. Section 6, this ordinance shall be effective as soon as possible according to law. Section 7, this ordinance shall be published in summary pursuant to KRS 83A 060 subsection 9 and shall be effective as soon as possible according to law, allowing for the mayor to sign and attested to by the city clerk.
Okay. Is there any other comments, discussion, other than Councilor Crupa's suggestion for additions?
I had a question
Yes.
that can probably be answered later, maybe not. If this is gonna be accepted by the City of Williamstown, I read in the packet where it's gonna be Grant County School District. So is it not gonna be available for the Williamstown schools to have the students go there? If it's technically gonna be City of Williamstown?
It's in the Grant County District, but the school districts do not follow the city limits.
Okay. That's all.
I know we had some comments from the,
I apologize.
no, that's okay. Would you like to speak?
I would, briefly.
Yes, please. If you come up to the podium, state your name.
I'm Amanda Winters. I know many of you, not all of you. I own the chiropractic office that's adjacent to Mr. and Mrs. Ham's property, that the entrance, the northern entrance will touch and consume part of. I don't see how that entrance can go in that spot without, because that is arguably the most narrow section of US 25 from railroad track to business front. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't see how that entrance could possibly be there without a turn lane, which cannot go toward the railroad track because there's
Undercover for many years when I was on council. I respect both of you gentlemen a great deal. I walk the perimeter of that property every day, and I seriously think that the sight distance from the top of the semi-parking area, already owned by Mrs. Ham, provides ample sight. I have no problem seeing all the way to almost the farmer's market booths there, on foot, let alone being in a car. I drive an SUV. I have driven out of that spot probably 15 times since the planning and zoning meeting. I am not a surveyor, I do not work for the state, but I think that entrance should at least be considered. I feel strongly that planning and zoning put their condition on there based on a letter that I had written expressing exactly this. And if we really think the state is gonna say, oh, okay, this condition won't work, we need to do X, Y, and Z, this is the only place that anyone could ever enter this subdivision from as it is ordained by God, or whatever it is the state's gonna say, then leave it in there. Leave the condition.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak for or against? Okay, thank you. We'll next meeting, we'll finalize that one. Okay. Street resurfacing project 2025 discussion. Brett Browning is here from Regular Blacktop. City Council consideration of approval of street resurfacing project. So, as you may or may not know, we did go out to bid on resurfacing several roads, if you will, and we put out a bid package. We did receive just one bid. Derek, maybe you want to walk us through?
So we put out.
This is Derek, our superintendent.
Yep, Derek Holland, street superintendent. We put out for bid Lakeview, Harbor Court, Lakeshore Court, Lakeside Court, and Lakeland. All those for mill and overlay, along with curb and gutter removal and replace, and the storm protection. The bid come in at 670,180. So we had to basically split it up into a couple phases. And so we're not gonna do Lakeview Drive, we will do basically the courts. Harbor Court, Lakeshore Court, Lakeside Court, and Lakeland. And that is $287.
And we're not doing Lakeview Drive, correct?
That's correct. That would be on one phase.
Okay. And how much money did we have altogether to?
We have, this one, I believe, the one I have here without adding is $338,393.56.
Right. And because the bid, original bid came in over, I think it was 670,000, correct?
Yeah.
So it was over the amount. So we decided to let Lakeview Drive go and hopefully do that in next year, year after, but try to get the others done, correct?
What are the priority levels? Like, how do you guys look at a road and say, hey, this one needs to be done before this one, or
We go out and grade it.
you
We got
what?
a grade scale.
Oh, okay, there's a great, okay, so like,
The mayor and I, we go out and grade them.
okay.
This was something that we tried to do a few years back when it came, it was a few years ago, and it came in, we tried to do it with Southern Drive, Tracy, and all that, and kind of was the same way, we had to split it up into a phase. We were doing Southern, Tracy, basically that kind of whole area back there, it was a mill and overlay. Now this is a little bit different this side because there's curb and gutter. There's some older catch basins that is just basically a blended in curb, concrete. There's a plate up on top, and most of it's concrete though. It's So we're kind of having to go a little more deeper than just a mill and an overlay. So that's why it's coming in. So your roads that have your curb and gutter is more time consuming, different material, it's concrete, you know, so.
Thanks.
Brett, do you wanna just give us a rundown?
Sure.
This is Brett Browning from Riegler, who gave us the one and only bid. And we asked him to come just to give a brief description of what he has planned.
Yeah, so basically, what we're gonna end up doing as we build the courts, we'll probably do this work in 2 phases. So we'll pick out 2 of the cul-de-sacs, and then we'll start basically by saw cutting the street, start removing the curb and gutter, because the curb is going to dictate the new profile of the road, basically. So what we'll do is we'll dig all that curb out, and then obviously behind that curb are the residents' driveways. So before construction starts, we will post notices to have everybody park away from their houses, unfortunately. And then once we put the curb in, that same crew will fall back and start putting entrances back in as we work through the project. Once the curb is in, there'll be a little bit of a gap because we'll pour that curb with a curb machine, and we will have to infill the gap between the existing asphalt and the new curb and gutter. And then we will basically start the milling and paving process once the curb is replaced and all of the drive aprons are replaced. The only thing that Derek and I talked about also is the pavement condition of all of the courts. Some of them exhibit a lot of shatter cracking through the years from garbage trucks turning around and just wear and tear, you know what I mean? So Derek and I also worked out a plan too, and I gave a contingency figure, because through the course of the construction and the condition of the roadway and us doing this every day, we anticipate that there will be some failures through the construction process. So I wanted him to have a number, at least to keep in his hip pocket, just in case some of those conditions did arise through construction. We also went out last week and we took a couple of core samples of the roads to know what we're dealing with as far as existing asphalt depth. So, let me double check what those were. I think one, let me make sure real quick before I speak out loud. Okay, so it looks like we had one core come in at 7 inches, one was 5 1/4, one was 4 3/4, and the other one's 5. So you're about a 5-inch average on there. So, like I said, we'll just have to base those on the severity of what needs to be repaired prior to any milling and resurfacing, because it's our job to provide you with a curb and gutter that drains, a road that will not be a maintenance issue anymore once we put our final product on it. So that's a warranty that we have to stand behind. So we have to do that for us and do that for you as well.
Any questions for Derek or Brett?
We've been saving too since we done Southern and Tracy and stuff, and I knew that this was gonna take a lot more money to this curb and gutter. So we've been trying to save for this time. That's why there's $338 in there. And, you know, that's just, like I said, it's a different process than a normal mill and overlay.
Yeah, this is almost, or not to interrupt you, this is almost a mini reconstruction, basically, is what you're going through, not just a mill and overlay, like you said.
The one thing I asked Derek, and I asked Brett, because he was the only bidder, was to whatever we did, that we did it right. So we don't have to readdress this, in the short term. And that's how we base our opinion on the bids. As we go forward, I'd rather wait for some roads and do the ones that we have, do them right, and make sure they're done, and that's what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
So I need a vote to proceed, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that'd be your next item.
Yeah. Can I get a motion to proceed with the bid of Riegler paving based on their bid price to proceed with the construction.
I make that motion, Mayor.
Made by Jen Austin Smith. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Ronnie Maines. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
John Coleman,
Yes.
Kim Cropper.
Yes.
April Favela,
Yes.
Ronnie Maines,
Yes.
Jason Payne,
Yes.
and Jenna Smith.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we are at the open forum point of our night. Any residents in the audience would like to get up and speak? Now is your time. I can't believe this. This is like the third in a row. Nobody gets up and speaks. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Can I speak as a resident?
Yeah, you can if you want.
Do I have to step up there? Can I? So, I wanted to say that, I took place in a cleanup over at a, whoa, dang, what's here? Hold on. I was over at Hilton Heights and we was with my church and we was cleaning up and I just wanted to applaud the mayor for allowing the fire department, I don't know if it's been done yet, to go over and spray the playground equipment. If possible, could we look at their mailboxes too? It's really bad. It's kind of embarrassing that we allowed it to get that way, but I did want to thank you, Mayor, for allowing the city fire department to go over and clean that up, because I couldn't figure out how I was going to get, a pressure washer to it. But
You can thank the chief.
Yeah.
I talked to the maintenance guy on Wednesday, we're gonna be over there to start cleaning the playground.
Okay, that would be
If
great.
somebody has a gasoline pressure washer, we got electric one that barely works, so if somebody could let us donate a pressure washer.
I have a gas-powered one that you're more than welcome to use. I just couldn't get the water to it, so.
We have a brush truck with a tank.
And then, and then, if it's all right, Mayor, too, I'd also like to state, I don't have it written up with me right now, but to the public and to you all, I have enjoyed serving on city council, but effective immediately, I'm gonna go ahead and let you know I'm gonna be stepping off of city council. This will be my last meeting on the council. Like I said, I plan on still serving in the public like I do in other ways. This is just not what's best for me at this time anymore. So, I will have my letter typed up to you and sent to you this weekend, or this week sometime.
Well, that's a shock, John.
Yeah.
And certainly, we appreciate your service, and I'm sorry to hear that. Anyone else would like to speak?
I'll make that motion to adjourn now.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
John Coleman,
Yes.
Kim Cropper.
Yes.
April Favela,
Yes.
Ronnie Maines,
Yes.
Jason Payne.
Yes.
Jenna Smith.